Hi, everyone. This is Jackie Cooper with the Maryland Blockchain Association member Byte talk show, as well as the Blockchain Legal Institute talk show. And both of these shows are featured on my channels, both social media, as well as the organizations that I am leading, both the Maryland Blockchain Association, which is based here in Maryland, as well as the Blockchain Legal Institute, which is international. And the reason why today I have us speaking on both of these channels is because my guest actually has a very interesting career background, and it covers more than just Maryland. So that's why I would like to have you as the audience listen and know how to reach out to Tate, because again, he is a valuable resource even if you are not in Maryland. So for those that know about the Maryland Blockchain Association, you know that we're an organizational group that is dedicated to education, but also advocacy. So if you are in a blockchain club, or if you're an entrepreneur trying to look for information about blockchain, innovative tech, anything that's happening within our space, AI, whatever, reach out. There are resources that we have to bring you economic development and business opportunities. And then if you are interested in our hackathon, the Blockchain Legal Institute is actually doing a legal tech hackathon. It's going to be live on Dora Hacks shortly. By the time you listen to our talk show, it probably will be live. And we have $32,000 worth of bounties from Constellation Network, ICP, and Story, and more protocols are signing on. So definitely, if you're interested in testing out, whether, you're in the developer or coding side and would like to kind of see more about these protocols and learning, definitely reach out for us on that. Tate, how are you doing today? He will be back in just a second. I know we must be having some tech problems. Give a sec. So while he's coming back in, definitely reach out to bli.tools, because we actually have a global summit that is going to be happening in October. We are going to be talking about digital assets, blockchain for consumers. So definitely reach out and register for our free workshop. So this is the time right now is for you to kind of take a look at what your calendar is. And if you haven't marked down that the first Monday of every month, we actually have a Maryland meetup, definitely reach out and go to the website, marylandblockchainassociation.org, and sign up, because the first Monday of every month, we have an hour-long meetup at 7 p.m. So that way we can actually host guests and learn more about our community. Hi, everyone, and we are back. Thank you so much for the short break, and we appreciate your hopping back on and definitely liking and subscribing, because we have a lot of wonderful information to share. So as I was mentioning, my guest today, Tate, is within the Maryland side, but he's also licensed to practice in California, and he's done a lot within our space dealing with compliance, blockchain, and technology. So I know that we're going to be talking about his story, but he's also going to be talking about other people's stories, because again, all of us have a story as to why we came into the space. I know I came into the space 10 years ago because I was introduced to an altcoin. An altcoin, for those that don't know, is something that's different than Bitcoin. And I had to learn about the vocabulary. I had to kind of do research, and I found that in this decentralized space, it was kind of difficult, which is why I'm creating the various resources for everyone, so you have a better ability to kind of make your decisions for you. Tate, what made you jump into this space, and what kind of got you into the blockchain technology side? Because I know you have some interesting stories to share as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jacqueline. And I, as a business attorney and chief legal officer, I've always been fascinated by how legal frameworks evolve to meet innovation, and really how tokenization can transform asset ownerships, physical assets, organizational assets, real estate, and smart contracts, how they can transform industries. These are the primary areas, but also data privacy. Data privacy really hits home to me. And data privacy was something that I started working on over a decade ago with HIPAA and now the California Consumer Privacy Act, but also the GDPR when that was launched. And having it become, many folks aren't aware, but the GDPR, they have data privacy as a human right, the right to be forgotten. And I think that's a universal right. But I see that also aligning with Web 3.0 and decentralization of the blockchain. So those are, collectively, those are the areas of why I felt I have to be involved in this conversation.
So your legal practice, we're both lawyers, but I'm practicing a little bit differently than you are. Your legal practice focuses on what?
So I'm a business lawyer and a chief legal officer, and I'm a chief legal officer to technology companies such as Proto. It's a hologram AI company. We have devices all over the world, and we deal a lot with data privacy and privacy aspects. And HIPAA, we have facilities in hospitals, universities, private clinics. And so we have to be very careful of this data. But also another technology company that aligns with the blockchain, Justifier Technologies. I'm their chief legal officer. They have created a device. Both companies have several patents, but Justifier's device operates on the blockchain, and they are able to record audio and video on the chain. They're able to communicate with different devices on chain. And it's pretty remarkable how fast everything is evolving. And again, the legal framework just isn't caught up to the technology. So that's where I'm at. I'm trying to help some companies navigate with this, the technology we have, with the regulatory framework we have, and also along those lines, watching the privacy aspects and how this can evolve to that.
So where you mentioned a few times that you don't think, and I agree with you, but you mentioned a few times that you don't think that the legal side has caught up with the tech. Where do you see the holes? Where do you see that we within our community need to, and do you, and again, I have my opinion, do you think that the laws can ever stay up to date with the tech? Or how do we create a framework which is flexible enough to allow the tech to develop, but still be within a consumer protection mindset?
We need Congress to act and create a regulatory framework overall. It needs to be a federal framework, and I'm extremely positive that this administration came and said we are going to create a framework around that. The SEC has sort of softened their regulations against a lot of organizations in the industry. And it was almost an attack. I'm not sure how many people were following that, but that suppressed a lot of innovation, and that set us back, I think, years. But I do believe with the right people, and as long as Congress is working with folks like ourselves, folks in the industry, and they're listening, and we can help craft that. But absolutely, this framework should specify. We're working on laws that are probably 80 plus years old. We have our series of stocks, bonds, cash, treasuries, but we don't have laws around tokenized assets, for example, that align with ownership in organizations, versus stock, or utility tokens that may offer a certain function or feature that other assets won't do. You can't shove a tokenized asset as a stock and be regulated by securities. So I am positive that we can get there. And I think a lot of this will entail education. A lot of this will entail advocacy. And it's also going to be a generational shift. We're sort of at the forefront of this. We're still early. the blockchain isn't part of the vocabulary for a lot of people. And I think the practical aspects will soon be transparent enough where everyone will understand, and that's when the shift will happen. But first, we need the regulatory framework. But I am positive. I think it's going to happen.
So, privacy. What should those that are listening think about with respect to either their privacy, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and tech? You've been in this space for a while. So, what are some of the things that they should be aware of?
Privacy, data privacy, in my opinion, is a human right. Going back to the GDPR, and we're getting there with a patchwork of laws around the states each are having their own. I'm surprised we don't have a federal yet, but hopefully that will be coming as well. With our data, we have to be cognizant of who is controlling our data at this point. And right now it's corporations. So we are allowing corporations to do what they will with our data, and that's buying and selling and transferring. That comes with a big cost. And I'll step back a little bit. One of the reasons this became so important to me is when I started my law career, I had a mentor, and he was an estate planner in Southern California. And I did a lot of business law and estate planning, and that's how I got into the estate planning side. But the most hard-hitting stories were folks that I met that escaped Fidel Castro's regime, escaped the Holocaust, escaped different regimes. And so we're talking surveillance, we're talking control and management and propaganda. And if you fast forward today, now a lot of these stories I had firsthand, so it was my connection to the past. And I have my own family history of that, where our family had to flee as well. But we can look around the world today, and we can see what countries are managing data, what countries have credit scores or social scores. And this limits what a person can do, where they can go, what they can purchase, when they can leave. We're not that far off, and it doesn't take much for someone to come to power and decide, well, we're going to do that. So this technology, this transparency, and if we are moving toward the blockchain, the Web 3.0, this would allow us to control our own data, or at least have stopping mechanisms on it, and it would allow maybe decentralized nodes or networks, or however we want to structure this, to maybe manage that as well. So it's not in the control of a government or a corporation or multiple corporations, and then we're simply being bought and sold and managed. So this is very important, and it's very important along the development of the blockchain, along Web 3.0, along smart contracts, and tokenized assets as we move down that road.
Explain a little bit more to those that might be listening what tokenized assets mean, and your experience in that field, or where you see it going.
So right now, as working with corporations, you and I can own a part of a corporation with stock. So there are two types of tokenized assets that I see. One is asset ownership. So it could be organizational ownership in a company versus stock. It could be ownership in a physical asset, such as real estate, that we could form a group with a smart contract, and we can buy and sell real estate, which should be the case right now. But today we have intermediaries. We have title attorneys on the East Coast. We have escrow, but the attorney out here serves. On the West Coast, it's a little bit different. Same concepts apply, but we have middlemen upon middlemen and different pieces that we have to work with. And then perhaps if we all got together, we'd form an LLC and have an operating agreement and all of this. What we can do, and what I see happening, is we should be able to buy and sell real estate just as we do online with stock. And we should be able to manage that asset, even with a smart contract, with maybe even decentralized governance. So if you and I wanted to get together and buy a 5-plex here in College Park, we could do so, and we could have it under the auspices where these are preset conditions, We are going to buy, we're going to rent, and then we're going to sell in 5 years. And once our conditions are met, the contract deploys, everyone's happy. There are no middle people. We can sell to anyone. If this is a tokenized asset, this opens up globally. This opens up to people in Argentina, maybe India, anywhere in the world, and it's 24/7. That applies also to organizations. So and this, by the way, is going to further innovation. It's going to further capital investment. It's not limited to maybe accredited investors. There's this lack of opaqueness that I've seen over the years of where is ownership, what can we do, and everything from organizations to real estate to even industry. In industry, the big one is DeFi. We're going to see huge changes in decentralized finance, but as well as insurance. So there's so many ways. Now this sort of, I've blurred the lines a little bit between tokenized assets and smart contracts. And there are a couple ways we can look at this. I'll get back to tokenized assets here. So I like the idea, and this is what I've seen lately. And with Justifier, what we're doing is we're opening this up so more people can be involved in an organization and anywhere really, and where this should be a 24/7. So the idea being anyone can invest and you can see it in real time. It's 24/7 and you can get out if you want. It's transparent. It's on the blockchain and there will be preset conditions. So it makes a lot of sense. If you're not an accredited investor, you want to be involved in this, and you're not limited to, many companies aren't traded on the market, and you're limited to the NASDAQ hours or whatever platform you're trading on. This will open the doors for capital, and this will open the doors for innovation. We have to build on top of this, but this is where I see things going. This is where more companies are now exploring and opening their doors to, is as they understand it. Again, it's education. Education is huge, and we need that regulatory framework. Right now, we're working on, SEC. We're working on commodities. What does it mean? It's likely if it's for profit, it's still under the Howey test under the SEC. If it's decentralized, and it might fall under a different category under commodities, which would be regulated a little bit differently. The lines still blur. We need this regulatory framework, but I believe we're close.
So what about taxation? How do you, again, we're physically based in Maryland, but you might have individuals from around the country or the world. And if you're on the blockchain, how does that work? Because that's usually where the regulators are trying to think, okay, one, consumer protection, but two, how do we gain income from whatever the business is, because we want to continue to operate and provide, hopefully, social good services. So from the taxation perspective, where do you see this going?
That's a great question. I've been thinking a lot about this. It can go in so many different directions. So taxation aligns a lot with how do we own the asset? What is the asset? So for example, Bitcoin is taxed as a commodity. It's not considered a currency. So it's taxed as capital gains. Well, what if we own stock in a corporation, we sell the stock, that's taxed as capital gains. So I would think something similar if we have tokenized assets that we have direct ownership that's transparent in a corporation. We should look at some similar framework to a capital gains tax with that tokenized ownership. If it represents true ownership, I think we should stick with that. Now, if you're out of country, how does that apply, and what kind of what's the word reciprocity, if you will, with the taxation of the country and or entity that's owning the organization. So I think we can use a lot of we can simplify it, but we can use similar concepts on capital gains taxes and ownership that way. I'm sure we could dive deeper, but a lot of this also aligns with, as this works, as we own part of these assets, as we start governing part of these assets, we need good data. Getting back to organizational structure and ownership, or even that real estate, we want good data sets. and where do these come from? How do we verify these? And I do see organizations are working on that right now. One's interesting. It's Chainlink. I don't know if you've been following them, but
Yeah.
So if we're able to apply these mechanisms, I think the tax piece will follow. But first, we just, again, have to get the regulatory environment in place, and so we know what to do and where to go.
So I know that our regulatory environment is going to be different than other parts of the world. Some are more developed and some less developed, and some still developing, and some open and some closed. So where, with respect to your practice and the clients that you serve or the clients that you're looking to serve, I mean, for everyone who's listening, you'll definitely have access to Tate's contact information, but who are the clients that you would like to reach out to you?
It really, size doesn't matter so much to me. If the ideas are good, we've got a good management team, and I understand that. Anyone working in this space, I'd be more than open to look and help maybe navigate around the regulatory environment, and instead of this ambiguous, where do we go, what do we do, make it more concrete and help drive that success. So I really enjoy working with organizations with really interesting technology in this space. So on the blockchain, if we're dealing with smart contracts, if we're dealing with tokenization of real world assets, and I work with companies from California to Maryland, in the business space. So it really doesn't matter to me where we're located, as long as if we're dealing with this type of activity. Right now, there are no unique state laws that apply. We're dealing in a different area. This is more federal at this point, and that includes less, maybe some one-off data privacy issues, but for the most part, those only apply to large organizations. So anyone in that space, I would be happy to speak with. I want to be part of this conversation. I find this fascinating, and we're at the cusp of transformation across so many industries. So it's exciting. So yeah.
No, I agree with you. It definitely is changing, and it raises a lot of thought-provoking questions that, when we have entrepreneurs that we're trying to support, kind of have to navigate and think about. Now, one question I do have for you, since you kind of straddle both Maryland and California, do you see a difference in the laws or the approaches between the two states?
Yes. Well, so it's a loaded question.
I know.
Now, California, so you and I are pretty close to DC, in the Beltway. There is a different mindset here, and it's and I don't want to negate it. It's largely bureaucratic. It's largely, government focused or government centrist. On the West Coast, it's there's more of an entrepreneurial spirit, and so that having that base first, and then the laws are pretty similar. With now, Maryland just passed a Privacy Act. It takes effect the end of October. It has a little more teeth even than California's California Consumer Privacy Act. However, California led this. They led this, and they passed this, and it's been in effect for several years now. California is also special, and they've had the California Confidentiality of Medical Information Act. With respect to laws, there are a lot of similarities. With respect to the people, there are differences and how they approach this. So around here, I see a lot more catering toward the Department of Defense or some type of a government agency. Out there, it's not so much the case. And in so many ways, I think that also spurs innovation in technology and advancement. We're not so focused on, will we get funding from DARPA or the Department of Defense? We want to make something that's great that people can use and apply. It's here in Maryland, but it's different.
Yeah. It is different. So I really appreciate your being on the Maryland Blockchain Association Member Byte talk show. For those that are listening, again, the information on how to reach Tate will be in the blog below. And I know that he will probably at some point be hopping on the Maryland Blockchain Association's meetup. So you'll be able to actually, it happens the first Monday of every month. And that way you'll be able to also maybe talk to him as well as others who are part of the association. And any last minute thoughts that you would like to share with those that are listening right now?
Well, these are exciting times. We're going to, in our lifetime, we're going to see industries transform, and we should all be a part of this. And we should understand this. And education, whether we're responsible for it or not, it's going to be at the forefront. And the more people we educate and inspire, I think the faster this will take effect. And I think more pressure we put on Congress to put these parameters in place, the better off we'll all be.
Yeah, I agree with you. Education is really critical, vocabulary development, especially because the technology is changing so fast. And it's not in a way for us to be fearful, but just to understand how do we incorporate it within, and how can we use it to help us with our time management, help us with our product and service management, and just better quality of life. So there's a lot that if you take a look at how technology's developed over the years, sometimes when, new tech happens, people are kind of cautious or concerned, and then it becomes, instead of the fringe, it becomes the mainstream. And, that's true with, again, this is not investment advice, or any other sort of legal advice, but same with Bitcoin or, cryptocurrency. When, the technology was first kind of introduced and people thought, oh, I'm not going to, use it. But that was the same with credit cards and, plastic, our debit cards. People were thinking, oh, well, I'm only going to use cash. Why would I want to use this electronic thing? So as the technology changes, we become, kind of more adaptable. And then we see, oh, maybe it can speed up transactions. Maybe it can cost us less. And for many communities, unlike Maryland, there are a lot of individuals who are not banked. So there, again, you have to see what the economics is and how can it help someone. So I know you and I will have more conversations about that in other talk shows, but I appreciate your being on, and I appreciate everyone who is listening. Definitely reach out to Tate. He can be a resource for you, both as an individual with, if you have a legal question, as well as if you're a business entrepreneur. Again, considering looking at how does this tech help you. And I appreciate your being in this space, because having access to lawyers who are knowledgeable about this technology is really important in order to give proper advice to the entrepreneurs that are trying to step in. So, again, down the road, maybe 10 years down the road, more attorneys are going to have this knowledge base. But right now it's, a small group of individuals that actually have taken the time to kind of develop that. So, I appreciate your being in this space and being one of those people. So everyone who's here, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day, and definitely follow the social medias, because Maryland Blockchain Association and Blockchain Legal Institute is doing a lot within our community, and we want to be able to support you. So everyone, have a great one. Bye.
Thank you, Jackie.